Hi guys, it's Ron Bass with another edition of the Ron Bass Show, your source for inspiration, motivation, encouragement, humor, sort of.
Sometimes.
Mr.
Yep.
Brent Atterbury, executive producer, marketing guru.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. So,
Happy Windy Day.
happy windy day.
It's very windy today.
Very windy today.
And it is Wednesday, too.
It's Wednesday. Guys, I appreciate all the comments. I didn't get a chance to tell Brent, but a lot of you guys are saying very nice things. We appreciate that. Appreciate the input, knowing that we have
Did you
some.
pay them?
I paid them. Sent the money on Cash App to all these other countries.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah. But no, very nice of you guys to be so interested in seeing our podcast weekly and comment and how it affects your life. And like I tell Brent and I talk all the time about how important it is just to, if we just help a few people, maybe, get through some bad experiences or to have a little bit better of a day or have a reference when things aren't going so well, then, we've done our job. That's sort of how I look at it.
I'm going to mix it up.
You're going to mix it up.
I have several things I wanted to talk about
Tell
today.
me.
But I need to start off with this
Okay,
one.
let's hear it.
So we can make sure we do what we're supposed to.
Fair enough.
Today, there's several things going on today,
Okay.
but one of the things today is National Let's Laugh Day.
Ah, I love it.
So I just want to start that at the beginning so we make sure we laugh. Okay? Okay, go ahead.
No, that's a good one.
I just thought I'd mix it up a
I
little.
like it, man. Humor, laughter, it's really the medicine, right? They say music's the medicine, but I think laughter maybe is equally as important, right? You can, sometimes I find myself a little bit disturbed about something, and then I say, nope, I'm going to smile. And when I smile, I say to myself, okay, man, I'm going to feel good about what's happening. And it is amazing how it does make a difference.
Yeah.
You can learn to be happy if you want to. A lot of people don't agree with that, but I'm confident that's the truth. And if nothing else, it might just give you a little bit of a lift for a few minutes, maybe during the course of a busy day or a difficult day. And guys, everybody's going to go through stuff, man. Like I was talking to my coach last night. This guy's really talented, like a martial artist, really, really talented coach. But, he's got stuff he's going through. He's trying to lose some weight. He's got some relationship issues. He's got some medical issues. He's 38 years old and he's got problems with his back. And it's because years ago he did so much weightlifting that it screwed him up.
Wow.
And, he struggles with that from time to time. Like some nights he can't even participate other than just to, coach. And he can't really get on the mats with everybody. But the point I'm trying to make is you can be the greatest in the world at something, but that doesn't mean you're not going to struggle with other stuff. It's never going to be perfect, guys. You have to learn to deal with things as they come along. And we talk about it a lot. Working out, getting some rest, eating right, being around really good people. I think about that, I think more than anything these days, is spending time with the right kind of people. I have this prayer every morning. I think I've said it before. Dear Lord, please remove all people, places, and things that are not part of my divine destiny. And dear Lord, please put into my life all people, places, and things that are part of my divine destiny. So in other words, many years ago I was taught that, but now at my age, at this point in my life, I see that so much clearer now. It's so obvious to me that the influence of the wrong people can really screw your life up. I mean, really screw it up. And I know it's tough because people don't want to get rid of their wives or their boyfriends or their girlfriends or family members that are putting you through these steps. But guys, look, you only got one life to live. And I'm telling you, if you don't have good people in your life, it's going to cause you a lot of harm, probably more harm than you realize. And I only speak from experience, man. I've been through a lot of crazy stuff. Brent knows about this in the last couple of years. It took a long time to get all this kind of straightened out in my life. And I don't mean to preach, but I'm just saying, man, that's a big deal. Okay. Today I want to talk a little bit about addictions because it's everywhere all the time, all around us, right? And we've done this before. I just want to kind of like read off these addictions that I think need to be talked about. Food addictions. And by the way, people don't realize food is, it's addictive. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm just going to not eat as much and I'm going to work out, I'm going to lose weight. It's not that simple. Because there's certain foods like sugar, carbohydrates that I guess trigger the brain, right? And you wind up with all these endorphins flowing and it's a feel good thing, right? So you say, oh, I'm just not going to eat as much. Well, it's not that simple. It takes a lot of discipline to eat the right way as well as working out, right? So if you're overweight, probably it has a lot to do with food addiction and the pleasure that we derive from eating food, because it's a pleasure thing. Like we're always chasing the feel good stuff, right? Like pornography. That's another addiction because it releases the endorphins in the brain and it makes you feel good. So the brain is always wanting that more and more and more. Sex, normal sex is good, but when you go overboard and you're obsessed with it, no, that's an addiction that's going to cause you, oh my gosh. I have a friend of mine that's a sex addict. He goes to classes. I mean, it's an addiction for sure. Relationships can be very addictive, particularly if it fails, then you go back to another one and another one and another one and another one. It's an endless cycle, guys. You have to be comfortable with yourself before you can ever have a successful relationship, because it's just not going to, it's not going to be there. If you're not happy with yourself, you're just going to be chasing these feel goods. All these are just feel goods. Drugs, another feel good. I don't feel good, so I'm going to have the drug. Oh, I feel so good now. Good friend of mine last night, we were talking, and he says, yeah, I smoke pot because it makes me feel good. Helps me to relieve stress. Okay, I get it once in a while, like having a drink once in a while if you're not an alcoholic. But when you do it all the time, like he does every day, no, now that becomes a crutch. And that's not going to work, man. Besides that, it's going to screw you up physically, your lungs, your cognitive skills. They've done all these studies, and there's more and more and more and more studies, and they're all pretty much saying the same thing. It's going to screw up your brain. There's no going back. You're never going to get it back, and you're going to screw up your lungs. And you only got one body, man, so you have to take care of it. Okay, so exercise, to me, that's a good addiction. Working, to me, that's a good addiction, because you're going to derive something that's very good out of that. Hopefully you're going to have income so you can invest, so you can help people, so you can pay your bills. How many people do you guys know that are struggling to pay their bills right now? I mean, it's everywhere. A lot.
Yep.
And with inflation and with the way things are in real estate, like I've got a friend that's paying $700 a month for rent right now. He's got a family there are 4 people in his family. They're looking to move. $2,000 a month to get like a 3-bedroom house. And this is in the Midwest, in the United States. Think about that. That's crazy. If you're going to do that, you should buy a house, not rent a house.
Yeah, but they may not have the
down payment, right.
The credit score.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of
reasons why.
A lot of criteria you have to meet.
But the other problem that people have, and I'm not good at it either, is managing money. You have to save money. You have to find a way to. Doesn't matter how much you make. What matters is how much are you able to, put back, so you can invest in, at least in a house, guys, at a minimum, because real estate is probably the one investment that's never going to go bad. I'm not saying never, but more than likely not. It's probably always going to increase in value. Plus, it's it's your place, man, where you're going to go and recover every night after you have a long day of whatever you're going through. So real estate, man, you got to try to figure out a way to own your own home. So I don't care how you get there, but you got to try to figure out a way to do it. Gambling. I've got friend after acquaintance after acquaintance that they gamble all their money away every month. And they don't have any money after 4, 5, 6 days after they get their Social Security check or their disability check or their paycheck. They're broke. It's just crazy. But there again, addiction. Why is there such a thing as an addiction? Because the brain, which we don't have that kind of control over sometimes, feels good about certain things that it experiences. And then it's a constant nagging. I want that again. I want that again. I want that again. because it makes me feel good, and when I feel good, I want that, and that's where the brain. It's almost like the brain's working separately of you, even though it's part of you, right? It's kind of crazy, but it's all science, guys. I have a friend that's like, very overweight, and I've known him a couple of years, and he's still not losing any weight, and it's an addiction. The food's an addiction because it makes him feel good, makes the brain feel good. I told him, I said, look, you've got to replace that food addiction with a healthy addiction, working out, working more hours to create more revenue for yourself, more income, so you can invest more. So I'm not going to, spend the whole 15 or 20 minutes talking about addictions, but I did want to bring it up today because more and more and more I see this happening, and I don't see how people they're not relating to it correctly. It's like, if you understand the science, I think it's going to be easier for you to correct it. Because all these addictions are going to just cause you nothing but harm and heartache and failure. Physical failure, emotional failure, financial failure, psychological failure. It's not worth it, guys. It's just not. And I hate it. I hate to see people struggle. But that's just the world we live in, man. And the people that are behind all these addictions are the money people that push these things, like cigarettes, marijuana. Now the state's selling marijuana because it's all about money. They don't care.
Yeah.
They just care about making money. And it's terrible. It's sad.
Marketing people.
Terrible
Terrible people.
people. Okay, on to another subject. One of our subscribers sent me a message. I thought it was very touching. They said that one of their parents had passed away, and they saw our podcast, and they said that they were so happy to hear the positiveness of the podcast to kind of soothe a little bit of the pain. And I thought, well, that's really what it's all about, guys. And the thing about our podcast on YouTube or Spotify, you can listen to them over and over again. One of our subscribers said, hey, I'm going to be listening to these podcasts over and over and over again. I mean, they're there for you. I refer to them. I listen to them all the time, not because I want to hear myself or see myself.
Yeah, right.
But I because it is positive stuff, and I want to reinforce my own self every day when I'm going through struggles and challenges and disappointments. Man, look, it's just the way it is, guys. There's going to be a lot of disappointments in your life, and it's okay. Just learn how to manage those disappointments through exercise and rest and being around really good people. If you don't have good people in your life, you're better off to be alone. I'm sorry. I know it sounds terrible to say, but you just are. I have a very limited number of people that I associate with these days. I'm cordial to everybody, but I'm not going to be hanging out with the wrong kind of people. It's not worth it.
Or continue to search out positive influences.
Yes.
If you like being alone, that's fine. But if you don't, then continue to reach out and search.
Well, everybody needs to love and be loved. I get it. But at the same time, you can't just, the addiction of these relationships. Oh, that went bad. I'm going to find it. And then all these dating sites. I just don't really agree with all that personally. You need to learn how to walk up to somebody and say, hey, how you doing, man? How you doing, ma'am? Ma'am. Hi. What's your name? It's not that complicated, guys. And if you get a good reaction, you can start a conversation. You get a bad reaction, that's okay too. Just walk away. It's a numbers game. Everybody's attracted to different people for different reasons.
Right.
You're handsome. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
You're sexy. You're cute.
Thank you.
You're fit.
Thank you.
You have money.
Thank you.
You
I don't.
have humor. You're funny. You're witty. You're confident. All these different things attract people, and each person has a different way of being. They have a different way of being attracted.
Yep.
So that's just it's not that complicated, guys. Learn how to talk to people. Start conversations up, and if it doesn't go well, that's okay too. Just split and talk to somebody else that you find maybe interesting. Like I'm at the gym today, and you can just tell some people are very private, and they don't look at you. Other people are like, "Hi, how you doing?" Or they wave, or they'll fist bump, or they'll look at you and they'll smile. A lot of times I just smile at people. Sometimes they probably wonder, why is this guy smiling?
Weirdo,
Pervert. Hey, man, if you feel good about yourself and you want to spread the goodwill, there's nothing wrong with smiling,
No.
fist bumping somebody, opening the door for somebody. I do that all the time. All the time.
Doesn't it take more muscles to frown than it does smile?
Good point.
More face muscles.
All right. Tell me something good.
Well,
Tell me some breaking news.
I got multiple things here I want to talk about. One, this should be a podcast.
Okay.
Did you know that the first 2 weeks of March is considered National Procrastination Week? National Procrastination Week. Why would that be a thing?
Well,
It says it's they don't know if it's the first or second week because sometimes it gets pushed back on the
okay.
calendar.
Okay.
Get it? It gets pushed back.
Gets
Procrastinate.
pushed, yeah.
So that's actually a good podcast right there, procrastination. I just had to bring that up
Okay, I'm going to write that down.
because that's, not similar to addiction, but that's why a lot of people don't hit their goals, why they don't get where they're trying to go, because they keep putting it off, procrastinating.
Procrastinating.
So-
Yeah, good point. And why did they procrastinate?
Yeah.
Why did they procrastinate?
I don't know, but I got to
Well,
tell you this story.
Okay, wait a minute.
We got to say that.
You got to have an answer for that.
We do?
Well, yes. Why do people procrastinate? It's fear.
Scared.
It's fear of failure.
Fear
Fear of failing. I'm going to put it off.
Is
I'm
it-
not going to do it. But
How
you know
about
what?
is it lazy?
It's really laziness is some of it, but it's more fear of failing. I don't want to do this or do that because I'm afraid I won't do it well. I'm afraid I'm going to look bad. Now, the other side of the coin, yes, I'm not ambitious. I'm lazy. I don't want to move forward.
I'll
But
work out.
that's usually a symptom of depression. by
I'll
the
work
way.
out next month.
Putting things off is being lazy is usually a symptom of depression. By the
Yeah.
way, and where does depression come
Don't put
from?
things
Frustration. Frustration. Where does that come from? From not being able to complete a process that you think you should, and you get put down for it. And all these things are related.
So are you going to save some good stuff for the next podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. You're giving all the good stuff
Sorry,
away?
I get wound up. You know how I do it,
Just
guys.
kidding.
I'm sorry. I get wound
Okay.
up like my jiu-jitsu coach. He gets so wound up.
Wow.
Yeah, and he starts showing something, and then he go, oh, and by the way, and oh, and by the way, and oh, and by the way, and oh, and by the way, this and this, and then by the time, it's like 10 different things he's trying to teach me, and it's like, man, I can't do that. I told him last night, I said, just teach me one thing every night, and let me learn how to do that before you go to the next thing. But his brain won't do that. He's just got so much information in his brain.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know I do the same thing with you guys, but I get it. If you got so much in your brain, it just keeps coming out.
Here's something else I bet you've never heard before.
Okay.
Today is National Stretch Mark Day.
Oh my God. Stretch mark. So you're talking about like pregnancy stuff? Like where the belly stretches?
I guess so. Stretch marks.
And
Whatever.
maybe like if you're heavy and then you stretch and then you lose the weight, then you have the you have
stretch
all
mark
the
day.
stretch mark.
Today's National. I don't know why you would celebrate that, but
Maybe the people that have lost a lot of weight. Maybe the
Maybe.
women that were pregnant that the kids are like so happy that's
Yeah.
over with.
yeah.
That's
And then I'm kind of doing them in reverse order this time. Breaking news
Yeah.
is there was a man found with a live turtle concealed in his pants by the TSA at a New Jersey airport recently.
Come on, man.
And
What's up?
Well, I think, and when you see that, do you say, hey, is that a turtle in your pocket? Are you glad to see me?
You're so funny. Oh my God. That's pretty good.
That's all I got.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you the Rodney Dangerfield story? The guy that I always would say, I get no respect, the comedian.
Yeah, I get no respect.
Yeah, so him and Eddie Murphy were hanging out. I think I told you the story, but Eddie Murphy was this is years ago, guys. Eddie Murphy was at Rodney Dangerfield's comedy club in New York, I think New York City. And make a long story short, Eddie Murphy kind of uses a lot of profanity. So make a long story short, at the end of that little session, Rodney Dangerfield walked up to him and said something like, hey, man, I don't think that profanity is probably the way to go. And I think he was cordial about it, but I think it kind of upset Eddie Murphy a little bit. At any rate, years later, they're in Las Vegas. I think I told you the story. And Eddie Murphy's at a urinal, and he looks over, and there's Rodney Dangerfield. And Rodney Dangerfield looks at him and he says, who knew? So the point was, egg in his face, because Murphy went on to become a superstar. And here was Rodney Dangerfield from before was being critical of his style.
Yeah.
So I love stories like that because it just goes to prove, guys, stick to your guns, so to speak. Do your thing, man. And if nobody else agrees with you, it doesn't matter. Do your thing and stay the course. And you never know how it's going to turn out in the end. You for sure won't have any shot if you give up.
Right.
And to move forward under duress and under criticism is really the best. I could write a book about that too, because in the end, when you're successful, it's egg on everybody's face. It's success is revenge, guys. Remember that success is revenge. You don't have to say anything to anybody. They're just going to know it, and they're going to go, "Oh man, I should have never." Like the Chaperone story, where the label dropped her, and now she's like on top of the world. You got to know those executives at that label company are like, "Oh man, I can't believe we did that."
Breaking news about
Breaking
her.
news, okay.
I just saw on the news where she is getting ready to release her new song, and it's a country song, which is going to make the country people mad, the pop people mad. So
I think it's called The Giver, by the way.
okay.
She actually did it on Saturday Night Live a few months ago. Yeah,
I said she's releasing it.
Well, yeah, but I think they do like snippets.
Whatever,
Yeah, they say like release it, but I think they've already kind of released it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to be a big hit too. She's got the queer community on her side, and they are like so loyal. You know, I can't tell you how many lesbians and homosexuals that are our customers that are very, very, very loyal to our company. I get it, you know, because they're so often misunderstood and criticized and put down. And so when they can do business with somebody that's open-minded and not critical and treats them just like everybody else, they love it and they will stick with you. And so she's got a tremendous following in those communities. And I applaud her for that. I think it's wonderful. Nobody should be put down because of your sexual preference or your religious preference. That's terrible. That's terrible. Don't ever do that. I just don't. I mean, I get it because I think people are brought up in these homes where there's so much discrimination, and they're taught from the time they're a little baby to hate. And that's terrible. But that you can't really blame the kid. You got to blame the parents, really. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that it?
That's all, folks.
Is that all, folks? Okay, guys, we'll get out of here. But just remember, if you don't give up, eventually those stars, they're going to line up. And you know what? You're going to be so happy you didn't give up. So until that time, and even after that time, always keep your chin up, keep your head up, and remember to stay positive.